From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8.
Now, the latest news.
Kylie Conway has the latest news. The top headlines. News you can use.
Please stand by.
Sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling. Now, here's Wish TV's Kylie Conway.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is the News 8 Daily 8 for Thursday, February 18th. For the third morning this week, we're seeing some snow. New overnight, the snow made for a slower commute to work and school. If there was school, a lot were canceled. Some had remote learning, but the snow will work its way out by this afternoon. Highs will reach the mid-20s. And a reminder, in Indianapolis, if you own a home or other property, you are responsible for clearing its sidewalk. If not, you face a $50 fine. One exception, if a plow truck throws the snow there.
Entry, descent, and landing is often referred to as the 7 minutes of terror.
We are just hours away until NASA attempts a high-risk landing, its most precise ever on Mars.
There's a lot of things we just don't know.
Space always has a way of throwing us curveballs.
Perseverance has traveled through space since last July. Today will determine the fate of the mission. A successful landing will let a new robot rove the surface. This morning, a Purdue scientist talked about what she calls the scariest moment of the mission. Basically, it takes 7 minutes for NASA's Perseverance to go from the top of the Mars atmosphere to the planet's ground. For the entire descent to the Jezero crater, the rover will have no help or commands from NASA's team on Earth. Perseverance will be plummeting to Mars at about 12,000 miles per hour and must slow down to zero in that 7 minutes. The rover will use parachutes and retro rockets to help. It will also use terrain-relevant navigation, basically mapping out the ground and determining where is safest to land. Purdue University Associate Professor of Planetary Science, Brianne Horgan, dubbed these 7 minutes as the scariest moment of the mission. Horgan played a key role in the mission. She and the NASA team have worked hard for this moment and for what comes next.
By the time we hear that the rover has entered the atmosphere and as it descends to the surface, it's actually already either alive or crashed on the surface.
There's a lot counting on this. Surviving that 7 minutes is really just the beginning for Perseverance. Its job, being the first leg of sample return, to go look for those signs of past life on Mars. All that can't start until we get Perseverance safely to the ground. And then that's when the real mission begins.
The rover will use 23 cameras and 2 microphones to collect samples and feedback information about Mars for the next 2 years. Along for the ride is Ingenuity, the first helicopter to fly on another planet. Plus, the rover is also carrying a tribute to healthcare workers. The landing is set for 3:55 this afternoon. Today through Friday morning, the LAX pylons are lit up in red in observance of the mission and to wish everyone good luck. And this morning, help is on the way for people behind on rent. Indiana is getting hundreds of millions of dollars in federal assistance for rental and utility assistance. The money is meant to ease bills mounting in the pandemic. Indiana is getting $448 million in all. The state will manage most of it, but 6 counties or cities will get money to use through their own programs. Marion County will get almost $30 million. Hamilton will get $10 million.
If this amount is able to take care of that back rent and what people are still currently going through, then that's going to go a long way towards settling the need, but there may still be more depending on how much farther this pandemic goes.
You can sign up now to get an update when the program goes live. To qualify for the help, you must be dealing with at least one of several challenges. For instance, if you're on unemployment, have lost income because of the pandemic, or face homelessness. We have all of the criteria for you at wishtv.com. As far as COVID numbers are concerned, state leaders say things are headed in the right direction. Right now, no Indiana county is in red in the state's COVID spread risk map. So this is the first time since late September a single county is not in the red. 11 counties are now blue. That's the lowest risk level. Last week, that number was just 1. And the CDC is warning, though, there could be a rapid rise in cases. The agency says that coronavirus variants could have big implications in the U.S. One of the CDC reports says the first strain found in the UK could become the dominant strain in the U.S. by March. In another CDC report, the variant first found in South Africa corresponded with a rapid rise in South Central Africa. A new report published in the New England Journal of Medicine suggests that Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine can protect people against new variants, including the first one seen in South Africa. Researchers genetically engineered versions of the virus to carry some of the mutations found in the new variant. They tested them against blood samples from 15 people who got the Pfizer vaccine. Scientists found enough blood serum to neutralize the virus. In another study, Moderna's vaccine also worked effectively against variants. Health officials say the possibility of a rapid rise here in the U.S. is a real threat.
The fact is we are challenged by these variants. We have to address them. But the good news is that the vaccines that we are currently using have very good efficacy against one of the variants and modestly good against the other.
The CDC has reported nearly 1,300 cases of coronavirus strains first spotted in the UK, South Africa, and Brazil here in the United States. More than 1,200 are from the variant originally found in the UK. It's been identified in 41 states and Washington, D.C. Roughly a third are found in Florida. Researchers say identification of the new variants highlights the importance of mask use, social distancing, and avoiding crowds. In Indiana, snow closures at clinics are forcing about 43,000 people to reschedule their appointments. Health leaders also say delayed shipments will prevent an immediate expansion to more ages. The state says it has not yet gotten this week's shipment of the Moderna vaccine, so the plan to open shots up to anyone over 60 will wait until next week at the earliest.
Vaccine will continue to remain a precious resource for some time, but we are confident that our approach will protect those who are most vulnerable and put Indiana in a strong position to emerge from this pandemic.
As I mentioned earlier, statewide numbers are improving. The 7-day positivity rate for Indiana now stands at 4.7%. That's a full percentage point and a half better than last week. And it's dramatically down 11 points better than it was in the middle of January. A bill that would prevent individual cities from regulating landlord and tenant matters becomes law. The Republican-controlled General Assembly voted to override a veto by Governor Holcomb. The measure keeps local governments out of rules around landlord-tenant relationships like renter protections Indianapolis put in place last spring. Housing advocates with the Fair Housing Center of Central Indiana are concerned about how far-reaching the language can be interpreted.
But it also has a catch-all where it says in any other aspect of the landlord-tenant relationship. So where questions have been raised is, does that include things like code enforcement? Does that include human rights or human relations ordinances? And other items such as that, we don't know the extent that this ordinance will impact our renters.
Governor Holcomb vetoed the measure last March, citing the emerging pandemic as a concern.
Searching for a romantic summer getaway? Escape with Rich Girl Summer, the new Audible original from Lily Chu. The exquisitely talented Philippa Sue, returning to narrate her 5th Lily Chu title. This time, Philippa is joined by her real-life husband, Stephen Pasquale. Set in Toronto's wealthy cottage country, aka the Hamptons of Canada, Rich Girl Summer follows the story of Valerie, a down-on-her-luck event planner posing as a socialite's long-lost daughter, while piecing together the secrets surrounding a mysterious family and falling deeper and deeper in love with the impossibly hard-to-read and infuriatingly handsome family assistant, Nico. Caught between pretending to belong and unexpectedly finding where she truly fits in, Valerie learns her summer is about to get far more complicated than she ever planned. She's in over her head and head over heels. Listen to Rich Girl Summer now on Audible. Go to audible.com/richgirlsummer.
And this morning, Newfields is searching for a new leader. An interim president is now in charge. Charles Venable stepped down yesterday amid backlash from the community over a controversial job posting. We've talked about it here on the podcast. The opening described the museum as having a traditional core white art audience. More than 2,000 people signed a petition demanding Venable's resignation and other changes. Newfields released a statement vowing to publicly share a detailed action plan in the next 30 days. Two local artists say more is needed.
With their open letter that they put out, I think we need to see action put behind the words.
They also just reiterated the fact that there's a lot of work that needs to be done as it comes to spaces for African-American multicultural artists and caring for their art for the long term.
Newfields CFO Jerry Wise is leading operations for now. Many are reacting to the death of Rush Limbaugh. Limbaugh's wife announced his death on his radio show yesterday. He had been open about his struggle with lung cancer. Limbaugh hosted the Rush Limbaugh Show for 32 years and became one of the most influential conservative voices in media. President Trump awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom last year. News 8's Phil Sanchez spoke about Limbaugh's legacy with two contributors to All Indiana Politics. One is WIBC's Tony Katz, and the other is the former leader of the Democratic Party here in Indiana.
What it really is that Rush Limbaugh shared with millions of Americans the idea that it's okay to be a conservative and that you're allowed to have a good time with it. That's absolutely what he shared. That's what connected with people. That's what got people to listen going back to the early days.
He definitely changed the trajectory of the Republican Party. He changed the trajectory of media in the United States. He was just a big influence on American politics.
Former Vice President Mike Pence tweeted a tribute. Limbaugh's legacy will live on for generations in the hearts of millions of Americans he inspired. Some of the biggest players in last month's GameStop trading frenzy will face questions on Capitol Hill today. The House Financial Services Committee will hold a virtual hearing this afternoon. Leaders of Robinhood, Melvin Capital, Citadel, and Reddit will testify. Lawmakers say today's hearing will be informational, focusing on what actions were taken and by whom. The hearing is driven by concerns about the fundamental fairness of the modern market. Okay, it was a battle of two tennis giants setting up one half of the Australian Open finals. What a match it was. Naomi Osaka beat Serena Williams, derailing Williams' run toward what would have been a record-tying 24th Grand Slam singles title. Osaka is trying to win her second Australian Open and fourth Grand Slam title overall. And now to Texas, where anger is growing. The power grid is still struggling, leaving millions without electricity in record-breaking cold. The governor is blaming the agency that manages utilities and is demanding an investigation. The outages, many from intentional rolling blackouts, are creating a widespread emergency. This morning, families are frustrated that state officials didn't do more to prepare.
We knew for a week that this was coming. So if we knew for a week that this was coming, why weren't we ready? Our house is 32 degrees inside. We're worried about the pipes.
Unfortunately, that fear is proving true. A woman in Dallas found her family's apartment flooded when she went to check on it yesterday, just water streaming from the ceiling. Her family has now been in a hotel since Monday. Now to business headlines. Tractor Supply Company is buying Midwest farm and ranch retailer Orscheln Farm and Home. Based in Moberly, Missouri, Orscheln Farm and Home is a 60-plus-year-old family-operated retailer with 167 stores in 11 states, including Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Indiana, Oklahoma, Illinois, and Ohio. Orscheln has 9 Indiana locations, including one in Greenfield. Walmart will hold its investor event today and may talk about price cuts on some products, especially food prices. Walmart also has a good read on the health of the consumer and will share how its new Walmart Plus subscription service is going. Consumer debt totaled $14.6 trillion at the end of 2020, rising 1.4% in the fourth quarter. The increase came largely due to a record-breaking rise in mortgage debt, which now totals more than $10 trillion. Student loan debt saw a modest increase in 2020. Google Maps will now let you pay for parking and transit without leaving the app. Google Maps can already tell you which train to take or map out an optimal driving route. By bypassing parking meters and train ticket machines, people can save time and also avoid touching public services. Amazon is ready to make its next gadget, and it's letting consumers help choose. The tech giant introduced a new program Wednesday called Build It, where Amazon will present concepts for devices and leave it to shoppers to choose whether they want it built by pre-ordering. The gadgets include a sticky note printer, a smart nutrition scale, and a smart cuckoo clock. Finally, to sports, the Pacers are back over 500 this morning thanks to a big performance from Domantas Sabonis. He recorded another triple-double last night against the Minnesota Timberwolves. His 36 points, 17 rebounds, and 10 assists helped the blue and gold push the game into overtime, winning 134-128. This was the 7th triple-double for Sabonis, the most by a Pacer ever. Sabonis said his career high means nothing, though, if it weren't for the win.
Feeling doesn't mean nothing. We really needed this win, like all that's out the window. I'm just happy we got the win. Buzzer went off. We all left off smiling and happy, and that's the most important part.
Indiana heads to Houston to play former Pacer Victor Oladipo and the Rockets on Saturday. The Indiana Hoosiers are now 50-50 and 7-7 in Big Ten Conference play with a win over Minnesota. Indiana hosted the Golden Gophers last night. 5 Hoosiers scored in double digits. Trace Jackson-Davis led the team with 20 points. Final score 82-72. IU stays at home this weekend to welcome Michigan State Saturday in Bloomington. The Butler Bulldogs have work to do after a blowout loss at home. Marquette took the W in Hinkle Fieldhouse. Butler was down by 16 points at the half. They lost 73-57. Butler plays Xavier next Sunday night. This has been your News 8 Daily. For Wish TV, I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
The News 8 Daily 8 is sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling. Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast, The News 8 Daily 8 with Kylie Conway. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.